Good morning, all. The Eric Wallace Avatar is back with your Sunday morning announcements. If you're here with us on Facebook or YouTube, please subscribe to get notifications when we have new videos. If you're with us on Zoom, drop us a hi in the chat so we can say hello back. If you're with us on person, hello everybody here. And if this is your first visit, please sign the guest book either in the lobby or online at oakcliffuu.org/guest. Today, Sarah Ricke is in the pulpit with Mabon and Balance, the Divine Feminine, a special service in recognition of the Autumnal Equinox. We hope you can stick around after the service for Talkback, where we gather in a circle and discuss the sermon and related topics. And, since it's the third Sunday of the month, our White Accountability Group will be meeting in Hope Common Room and online at 12:15. If you are white identifying and want to work on being a truly anti-racist ally and accomplice, please join us. Then there's a worship ministry meeting at 2 p.m. Anyone who is willing to help us plan worship service or who wants to see what goes into planning them is encouraged to attend. Please note that adult religious exploration will return in October. Coming up this week, every Monday, our Widening the Circle of Concern work group meets on Zoom. If you'd like to help us on our path to becoming an anti-racist church, please consider joining us. Questions or concerns, email wcoc@oakcliffuu.org. We welcome anyone who can join us for Teamwork Tuesday from 4 to 6. For various reasons, we've had to cancel the workday a number of times lately, and there's a lot to do in preparation for our Haunted Forest fundraiser. Speaking of, help spread the word. This is a big fundraiser for the church, great outreach to the community, and a lot of fun for all. We need volunteers to help set up and tear down the day of the event, October 29th, and of course we need ghouls, ghosts, and goblins to haunt the forest. Please contact Rita at admin@oakcliffuu.org if you can help. Details on all of this and more can be found on the back of your order of service and in the weekly e-blast. If you're not receiving the e-blast, well, you should be. Just sign up at oakcliffuu.org/enews. That's it for now. Hope you have a great day and the rest of the week.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff. Let us begin our sacred work. We begin with our chalice lighting. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of love, compassion, and forgiveness.
Que esta luz que ahora encendemos nos inspire a usar nuestros dones y poderes para sanar y no para herir, para ayudar y no para impedir, para bendecir y no para maldecir, para servirte a ti, espíritu de amor, compasión y perdón.
A hymn to Siwakwatl. Serpent woman, plumed with eagle feathers, with the crest of eagles, comes beating her drum from the place of old. She alone, who is our flesh, goddess of the fields and shrubs, is strong to support us. Our mother is as 12 eagles, goddess of drums, calling the gods, filling the fields. She is our mother, a goddess of war, a goddess of motherhood, a companion from the home of the ancestors. She comes forth, appearing when war is raged. She protects us in battle that we may not be destroyed, an example and companion from the home of the ancestors. She comes adorned in the ancient manner with the eagle's crest. In the ancient manner with the eagle's crest.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near.
In our community, we make time each week to share pieces of our lives with one another, our joys and sorrows. We do this because each person in this community has value. Each person's experience matters. We share our sorrow with one another today, knowing that sorrow comes into each person's life, knowing that together we offer comfort. Please share your sorrows publicly by posting them in the Zoom chat, or send them to our Facebook Messenger, or speak them aloud.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
We also share our joys with one another, knowing that joy comes into all our lives, knowing that joy calls unto joy, knowing that together our voices can rise in a chorus of celebration. Please share your joys publicly by posting them to the Zoom chat, or send them to our Facebook Messenger, or speak them aloud. Welcome to the UU Church of Oak Cliff. Here we gather in sanctuary, where we're free to pursue our own unique and individual spiritual journeys in an atmosphere of acceptance, compassion, and celebration. We seek to build a community where what you believe is less important than how your beliefs guide and inform your participation in the world. Ours is a community that values the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. To our returning visitors, we are so happy that you have joined us again. We know that your time is precious, and we're honored to have you here today. We'd like to extend a warm welcome to those who are joining us for the first time. We recognize the bravery it took to come into a new place, and we're glad you're here. Ours is a covenantal church, Latin for come together. Covenant means a solemn agreement or promise from the heart regarding a course of action between parties. The practice of promising to walk together is the core of our faith. Simply put, it is a guide for the behavior we expect from ourselves and each other. We are bound together by the promises we make to one another, and we recite our covenant during every worship service. We love one another. We honor each individual's spiritual journey. We celebrate life's abundance in service to each other, our community, and the world. We connect with each other in love, respect, and in acceptance. Thus do we covenant together.
Porque nos amamos uno al otro, honoramos el viaje espiritual de cada individuo. Celebramos la abundancia de la vida en el servicio entre sí, nuestra comunidad y el mundo. Ponemos en contacto a unos con otros en el amor, respeto y excepción. Así que hacemos pacto.
Isis, Astarte, Diana, Hecate, Demeter, Kali, Inanna. 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 Good morning. Welcome, and I'm so happy to see you here on this beautiful, almost spring morning. Autumn morning. It's almost autumn. But the weather's been cooperating this week, so I'm going to roll with it. Fall officially begins next Saturday on September 23rd with the Autumnal Equinox. It's an important holiday for many religions and cultures around the world, particularly if they're still aligned with the seasonal cycles of the earth. For those of nature-based faith, like neo-pagans such as myself, the equinox is known as the Sabbath Mabon. Mabon is coming. And today I want to talk to you a little tiny bit about what the holiday is, but more what you can do in preparation for it. So if you were with us back in March, you might have heard my service for Ostara, the spring equinox. There are 2 equinoxes in a year, 2 days when the length of sunlight and nighttime are equal. These, in conjunction with the 2 solstices, in summer with the longest day and winter with the longest night, mark the turning of the seasons for the physical world. They are very important holidays in their own rights, celebrated in many different ways around the world. But it is Mabon that is coming next, the autumnal equinox. And the equinox is a special time of year for a number of reasons. It is, of course, the official beginning of autumn, which is important to those of us who celebrate the seasons. All the fall festivals can begin right now. Give me the hay rides and the apple orchards. Just keep pouring that pumpkin spice latte. I'll be fine. But like Ostara, the most important thing about Mabon is balance. Where in the spring, the equinox is all about growing yourself, the fall is about reaping the rewards for your hard work. And back in March for the equinox, I challenged everyone here to seek balance between light and dark by finding more people of color in divine roles. And I hope you did that. I really do. Our culture is still so horribly whitewashed that it is vitally important to see people of all cultures and ethnicities as children of the divine. And unfortunately, you have to go looking for it with purpose. So I hope you did that. But as you all know, the reward of a job well done is always more work. So for this coming equinox, I have more work for you. I want to challenge you again to seek balance. This time, not just between light and dark, still do that, but also between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And to find that balance, this means that I want you to actively seek out women, not just white women, but also women of color, as goddesses, as saints, as angels, as nuns, as bishops, any divine role you can think of. After all, that 2020 study by Stanford University I mentioned in spring did conclude that when Americans Google images of God, 72% of the results are that of a white male, an old white male. 72%. I wasn't aware that 72% of the American public was white male. So the study goes on to list the various and devastating effects that this skewed image of God has on us as a society. The racism and misogyny are overwhelming, and the masculine energy, the masculine imagery, has a very significant psychological effect on people's perceptions of who has and who should have power. Now, if you have any familiarity with the neo-pagan religion that I am part of, you know that it is very heavily centered on goddess worship. And goddess worship is a desperate attempt to bring some balance back into our spiritual lives, to bring back the divine feminine into our lives. Women are 50% of the human population, and we deserve to be 50% of the images of God depicted in our media. We are not. Right now, the only representation, as it were, the only significant representation recently of God as a woman in modern media is the very lovely series of Good Omens. And the narrator is female, which, if you've ever watched documentaries, you know is rare enough. And that narrator is the lyrical Frances McDormand. And by the end of the series, it is very clear that the narrator is, in fact, God. Neil Gaiman, the partial author of the book Good Omens and the head director for the series, is steadfast that neither God nor the angels or demons follow a binary gender. But he did make the conscious decision to make God's voice a woman, and it was highly appreciated. It is, unfortunately, an anomaly. And we deserve to be a lot more than just an anomaly. All too often in our culture, feminine traits are disparaged. Women are belittled. We're not seen as voices of the divine. God must be a powerful and unforgiving old man on a throne in heaven, tossing down judgments and punishments as he pleases. It's the only image of God most people in our culture ever encounter. Unless they've watched Bruce Almighty, Morgan Freeman. He's 6% of the Google results for God, just in case you forgot, from March. But that's it. There's no queen of heaven sitting by God's side, no stern but loving grandmother or blessed crone to temper the wrath of God with wisdom and compassion. There's no sense of the divinity of matriarchal figures that have kept humanity alive for countless generations. And there's a lot of problems with having a sense of the divine centered solely on a male image. For starters, the idea of God in heaven as ruling over humanity as a king, as an exclusively male image, gives power to the exclusively male power structure that we see so often in society and government. Men alone are blessed with divine endorsement of their sovereign authority. Women who question male authority figures for any reason, no matter how logical, are seen as usurpers of the natural order. Women in command, women in elected roles are vilified, constantly second-guessed, belittled, and dismissed. As Simone de Beauvoir put it, the fear of God represses any impulse to revolt in the downtrodden female. So few women rise to power because of this. Fewer stay in power because of this. And the downtrodden woman quickly becomes property instead of a person. Mere possessions of their fathers, their brothers, and their husbands. Women can't own property. We can't have bank accounts. We can't get an education or jobs. We aren't even allowed the dignity of control over our own bodies. Not in an exclusively masculine religion. No, our bodies are instead something menial and grotesque, desired and yet never good enough. Having basic bodily functions like digestion is seen as unattractive. God forbid a woman have to poop. And goddess forbid you talk about menstruation in the company of men. Growing up, even my mother was loath to talk about it long enough to explain what it was and how you take care of yourself going through it. Pads, never tampons, because good girls can't go sticking things up in places. Were kept out of sight under the cabinet, and when they were used, they were mummified in toilet paper and stuffed in the covered trash bin, never to be seen or spoken of again. My father was never, ever part of that conversation. Not unless he was complaining about hormones. Merely existing as a woman in a patriarchal culture is an exercise in frustration, a humiliation that does not end, and we must constantly be subservient to every male ever that exists, no matter our own needs and desires. Oh, that's right. Women aren't supposed to have desires. So saith the Malleus Maleficarum, that all witchcraft stems from carnal lust, which in woman is insatiable. That's the hammer of witches, that infamous, horrific forgery that set off the witch hunts across the Middle Ages, killing millions of women across Europe. Men get to express their sexuality and have it seen as natural. It's a sign of virility and health. But in women, it's demonized. The myth of virginity turns us into used rubbish if we dare to explore our own wants, whores, and demonic temptresses. But deny a man his own pleasure, and somehow you're a prude and cold, and no one will ever love you. It's a double standard that makes it impossible to win. Not if you're a woman. After all, we're not supposed to win. So the act of reclaiming the divine feminine is one almost of anarchy in such a culture. Reclaiming the divine feminine is to say, no, we are not any of those things. We are not any of those horrible things. We are just as holy as men. Women are holy creatures, children of the divine. Giving voice to the divine feminine allows women their own autonomy, physically, financially, spiritually. Men are not needed to step into the role of savior because we are, in fact, perfectly capable of doing it ourselves. It doesn't vilify getting help, however, whether you're a woman needing help from a man or a man needing help from a woman. Seeing women as divine is not emasculating, as so many of the anti-feminists would tell you, but because the traits typically deemed as feminine are no longer seen as less, then no one, male or female or anything in between, is less for expressing those traits or needing them. And I could go on a whole different sermon on how badly the patriarchal society we live in also hurts men, but I'm going to try to stick to the time limit today. Reclaiming the divine feminine allows feminine traits to also be considered holy. We can be gentle, we can be nurturing, we can be comforting and quiet without ever being seen as weak. And these traits are just as necessary to all humans as the more masculine ones typically associated: discipline, action, and yes, sometimes measured violence. Because every now and then you do have to beat up the bad guys. But does it really matter if it's Superman or Wonder Woman? They're both going to punch Nazis, right? It's important to give a name and a face to the divine feminine. Even if you're not pagan, you might be comfortable enough with the concept of a mother goddess as the divine representation of the earth. So for the opening words today, I chose Cihuacoatl, the Aztec earth goddess and mother of the gods. Our culture is still quite whitewashed, so you might not be as comfortable with the indigenous pantheons of the Americas. But there's always Gaia from the classical Greek mythology. She's the quintessential image of Mother Earth most commonly found in our culture today. It's still the harvest too with Mabon, So you might consider another Greek goddess, Demeter, mother of Persephone and keeper of grain. I've spoken before of my role as facilitator for adult religious exploration, and we had a wonderful program that I hope to repeat eventually called Rise Up and Call Her Name, which explores goddess worship from around the world. And there are so many beautiful and diverse goddesses to choose from. But one thing the program doesn't really cover, sadly, is how to embrace the divine feminine from a more Judeo-Christian point of view. Now, I'm no longer Christian myself, but I was raised that way. I think it's safe to say that many of us were. And as a Unitarian Universalist church, I think it would be a little bit tragic to deny our faith's historical roots in Abrahamic religion. One of the reasons I ran so far and so fast from Protestant Christianity when I was a teenager was the complete lack of representation of myself as a young woman within the faith. These days, I am perfectly at home with my paganism, but I'm a you, and you are too. And I acknowledge and adore that not all of you are on a spiritual journey quite like mine. So what if? Coming from a Christian point of view, what is the divine feminine that you might be able to seek out? There is, of course, Mary, Mother of Christ. We don't see her very much in American religion anymore, unless it's the Nativity at Christmas. She's relegated to a passive role these days, just so happy to have given birth to her precious baby Jesus. But she's also the mother that raised him, the mother that washed him and fed him and taught him how to speak, the mother that scolded the divine child when he misbehaved. Mary is the one who instilled in Yeshua of Nazareth his moral values and encouraged his education as a rabbi. She was the one who consented fully and knowingly to having him in the first place, and the one who tended his body in the grave and spoke to his disciples of his resurrection. Mary of Nazareth was a mother, a teacher, and a prophet, all in her own right. And this Mary, this woman, is a face of the divine. And when the Roman Empire spread Christianity across Europe, Mary of Nazareth did indeed take up the role of Queen of Heaven in Catholicism. Notre Dame. If you don't speak French, it means Our Lady. That famous French church that stood for centuries, that the world rallied behind when it burned, is dedicated to Mary of Nazareth, mother of Yeshua. Honestly, I think Protestantism hollowing out her hallowed role was a freaking crime. One of many, but still. And Mary of Nazareth is not your only option for the divine feminine from a Christian background. Now, Protestantism is the most common form of Christianity here in the U.S., and it is sadly lacking in feminine roles. But Catholicism has a number of saints to choose from, if you're willing to delve into them. Saint Clotilde was very popular throughout medieval art, which is how I know of her. She's the patron saint of women, as brides, as mothers, and as widows. She also protects adopted children and is often depicted in pious prayer. There's St. Catherine, the patron saint of art. Singing, painting, it doesn't matter what you practice. She will help you with all of it. She's also the patron saint of perfectionism, because she was one, apparently. So if you need discipline and routine, this is the lady to call on. If you need to take a break from your family for your own health and your own sanity, there's the martyr St. Barbara. Born to a highly controlling father, she managed to gain her freedom and avoid being married off before her death. I personally find her story a little bit controversial because of the conversion to paganism theme that is very strong in so many sainted women. But if nothing else, she is the patron saint of the word no to men everywhere. And many of us might be familiar with St. Francis of Assisi, protector of animals. But have you considered St. Gertrude, protector of cats? Come on, this is a you. I know you either have one or you know someone who does. We feed the feral kitties right outside the back door to charity every day. St. Gertrude is one of us. She's also a protector of mental illness, against mental illness, along with St. Dymphina. Nice ladies to have on your side. The point to all of this, the point to all these saints, is that you don't need to go full-blown moonlight ritual, neo-pagan, goddess-worshipping witchcraft like I did to bring the divine feminine into your life. You have options for when you seek balance between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Mabon is about balance. And with the cultural upheaval our society is currently being dragged through, we need all the balance we can get. So for this season, for this Sabbath, I challenge you to find a way to balance the divine masculine with the divine feminine within your lives. And maybe we'll all be a little bit happier and a little bit healthier at the end of it. Blessed be, blessed Mabon, and thank you all.
Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears.
join me in reciting the Widening the Circle of Concern covenant. We, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff, commit ourselves to the study and dismantling of racism and oppression within our congregation. We commit our congregation and ourselves to the work of anti-racism and anti-oppression. We commit ourselves to listening, to learning, and to action. When we fail, we commit ourselves to trying again and again. We covenant to begin this work and to continue until all of us can truly say that we are a beloved community of justice, equity, and compassion. Thank you. For our widening moment reading this week, I stumbled on a piece that was newly available. That's always cool. And it has a connection with poetry, which is like pretty significant in my personal spiritual practice. So I wanted to share this with you. All right, this reading is by Reverend Tanaya Marquez, and she is an ordained UU minister, spiritual director, and hospital chaplain. So these are her words I bring you after this opening quote that she provided. This piece is called Approaching Conflict Like a Poem. She opens with this quote: "Peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of creative alternatives for responding to conflict." That's from Dorothy Thompson. Reverend Marquez continues, "I joined a poetry class because a new acquaintance invited me. I mostly joined so I could get to know this person better. I was captivated the first day by the deep wisdom my professor shared. To me, it was like being at church. Every word he spoke found fertile soil in my heart. There were times where I felt myself overcome with beauty. The beauty I found in this class contrasted with the conflicts I was witnessing at work, in society, and almost everywhere. One Friday, as I listened to my teacher recite one of our poems, I wondered, what if I approached conflict like writing a poem? What if everyone did? Most of the time, conflict is reactive. People tend to do and say things before they've had a chance to process their emotions or to understand the totality of the conflict. But I learned in my poetry class about carefully choosing words, not because they need to rhyme or have a specific number of syllables, but because they need to be precise and beautiful. Poets are intentional about how to best deliver the message, how to best uncover the mystery of life so that others can experience it. Silences matter too. Part of the message is to pause, to wait, to leave space to breathe before the next line. There's also the rhythm. A poem is a song, and songs can touch the difficult subjects too. But the rhythm, the melody, matters. Since that moment, I've been wondering, what if the next time I find myself in the midst of conflict, I can slow down and imagine I am about to write a poem? Then, conflict resolution or transformation would turn into a craft, a laboratory where beauty is created. There would be a slowing down that would help me connect with what I'm feeling so I can find the right words to share that experience, and a silence to let me listen to the poem of the other. Reverend Marquez offers this closing prayer. Compassionate One, may we remember to slow down when we find ourselves having difficult conversations. May we remember to treat those moments of conflict as an opportunity to create with one another a deeper understanding and something new where tension is now present. Amen.
Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place that is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. Members, if you are contributing cash towards your pledge, please use the envelope provided and write your name on it. To text your donation, see the number in your order of service. For more options, see oakcliffuu.org/donate.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy.
O goddess earth, of gods and men the source, endued with fertile, all-destroying force, all-parent bound with whose prolific powers produce a store of bounteous fruit and flowers. Diverse maiden, the eternal world's strong base, immortal, blessed, crowned with every grace, from whose wide womb an ancient endless root, fruits many-formed, mature and grateful shoot, deep-bosomed, blessed, pleased with grassy plains, sweet to the smell with prolific rains. All-flowered protector, center of the world, around thy orb the beauteous stars are whirled, with rapid whirl, eternal and divine, whose frames with matchless skill and wisdom shine. Come, blessed goddess, and hear my prayer, and make increase of fruits thy constant care. With fertile seasons of thy train draw near, and with propitious mind thy suppliants hear. May the circle be open but unbroken. May the love of the goddess be ever in your heart. Merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again. May the circle be open but unbroken. May the love of the goddess be ever in your heart. Merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again. May the circle be open but unbroken. May the love of the goddess be ever in your heart. Merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón hasta que estemos juntos otra vez.